The reunion of Jacob and Joseph. The immense weight of 130 long and eventful years rested heavily upon the stooped shoulders of the patriarch Jacob, a life defined by wrestling with his brother, his father-in-law, and even God had etched deep lines upon his weary face. Yet, a new light of hope flickered in his aged eyes, a spirit rekindled by the impossible news that his son Joseph was alive. Joseph was not just alive, but had become a powerful ruler in the mighty and prosperous land of Egypt, a truly astonishing reality. The magnificent wagons Joseph had sent for him stood as tangible, undeniable proof of a miracle he never dared to imagine. With a spirit suddenly revived from years of mourning, Jacob made a firm and heartfelt declaration to his gathered family. The patriarch spoke with renewed conviction, his voice trembling slightly. "It is enough for me. Joseph, my beloved son, is still alive. I will go down into Egypt and see his face once more before I finally die." And so, the great and historic migration of the house of Israel began, a pivotal moment in the unfolding of God's plan. Jacob, now known as Israel, gathered all that he possessed for the momentous journey ahead. He brought with him his sons, their wives, and all their children, a burgeoning nation still in its tender and formative infancy. They journeyed southward, a long and hopeful caravan of history and destiny, with their vast herds of livestock following closely behind. Their well-trodden path eventually led them to the significant location of Beersheba, a place resonant with divine encounters and family history. It was precisely here that his grandfather Abraham had faithfully called upon the holy name of the Lord, establishing a legacy of worship. It was also here that his own father, Isaac, had constructed an altar and received a powerful reaffirmation of God's everlasting covenant. This place represented a sacred threshold, a final outpost in the promised land before they stepped into the unknown expanse of a foreign realm. As the gentle twilight settled over the vast and silent desert landscape, Jacob offered solemn sacrifices to the God of his father, Isaac. His heart was a complex mixture of soaring, joyful anticipation and a deep-seated, gnawing apprehension about the path that lay ahead. He questioned if this was truly the right path, wondering if he was leading his family away from the land God had promised. Was he leading the chosen carriers of the divine promise away from the very land that God had solemnly sworn to give them? In the deep, profound stillness of the night, as the sweet scent of the burnt offerings ascended towards the heavens, God spoke. The Lord appeared to him in a powerful and reassuring vision, breaking the silence of his anxious heart with a divine message. A powerful voice, not of terrifying thunder but of profound intimacy and overwhelming power, suddenly broke the encompassing silence of the night. The voice called out to him with purpose and familiarity, saying, "Jacob, Jacob," ensuring the patriarch's full and undivided attention. And, with immediate reverence and readiness, he answered the divine call, responding with the simple and humble words, "Here I am." The divine voice continued, its words acting as a soothing balm to his anxious and troubled soul, calming his deepest fears. "I am God, the God of your father. Do not be afraid to go down to Egypt, for I will make you a great nation there. I myself will go down with you to Egypt, and I will also surely bring you and your descendants up again from that land." And to give him the ultimate personal comfort, the Lord added a tender promise, "And Joseph's own hand will close your eyes." These powerful words of assurance washed over Jacob's entire being, a divine guarantee that completely calmed every lingering fear within him. This journey was not an abandonment of the covenant, but a crucial and necessary step in its ultimate and grand fulfillment. Jacob now understood that God was not being left behind in the land of Canaan. He was going down with them into Egypt. The sacred promise of becoming a great and mighty nation would be incubated and protected in the fertile plains of the Nile. The promise of their eventual return, the ultimate redemption for his descendants, was now divinely sealed and absolutely certain. With this divine commission firmly in his heart, the journey was no longer a desperate flight from famine, but a holy pilgrimage of purpose. With his strength and faith completely renewed by the vision, Jacob and his entire clan pressed onward toward the land of Egypt. The Bible carefully and meticulously lists the names of all those who made this significant journey from Canaan to a new land. The sons of Leah were there, Reuben, Simeon, Levi, and Judah, and the sons of Rachel, Joseph and Benjamin were also counted. The sons of the handmaidens, Dan and Naphtali, Gad and Asher, completed the list of the patriarchs of the 12 tribes. 66 people of his own blood, along with Jacob himself, journeyed to the land of their providential reunion, including his sons' wives, and Joseph and his 2 sons who were already living in Egypt. The total number was 70 souls. They were a small but potent seed, carrying the entire future of God's redemptive plan for humanity within their very lineage. They rode in the wagons Pharaoh had sent, a clear symbol of the divine provision that awaited them in their new home. These wagons were a testament to the incredible power and influence of the son they were all traveling so far to meet. As they finally neared their ultimate destination in Egypt, Jacob sent his capable son Judah ahead of the main group. This act was a significant sign of Judah's growing prominence among his brothers, a leader stepping forward to arrange the final details. Judah went directly to Joseph in the fertile region of Goshen to formally announce his father's long-awaited and momentous arrival. When Joseph received the incredible news from his brother, he did not wait for his father to come to him. The viceroy of Egypt, the man who held the life of the nation in his hands, immediately ordered his personal chariot prepared. In that moment, all his power and prestige were cast aside, and he was only a son, racing to see his father. The chariot sped swiftly across the plains toward Goshen, the fertile and choice land set aside for his beloved family. And then, the moment that had been awaited for 22 years finally arrived, a culmination of sorrow, hope, and divine intervention. As the magnificent chariot drew to a halt, Joseph descended and saw his father, aged and frail, but it was undeniably him. He ran to his father, and at first there were no words that could possibly capture the depth of the moment. Joseph fell upon his father's neck, and they embraced, as the tears flowed freely, washing away decades of unimaginable pain. The powerful ruler of Egypt wept like a small child in the comforting arms of the old and weary shepherd from Canaan. He clung to him tightly, releasing all the long years of loss, of deep longing, and of a profound grief he thought would never end. After a long time, Jacob pulled back, his trembling hands tracing the face of the son he thought had been devoured by a beast. His voice, thick with overwhelming emotion, spoke the fulfillment of his life's last great desire. "Now let me die," he whispered. Joseph, ever the wise and caring provider, began to prepare his family for the next crucial step, meeting the Pharaoh of Egypt. He instructed his brothers, "When Pharaoh calls you and asks your occupation, you shall say you are keepers of livestock from your youth." This plan would ensure they could settle in the best land of Goshen, for every shepherd was an abomination to the Egyptians. Joseph then chose 5 of his brothers and presented them before the throne of the most powerful man on the entire earth. The splendor of the court, with its gleaming gold and stoic guards, was a world away from their humble tents and flocks. Pharaoh looked upon these rugged men and asked, as Joseph had predicted, "What is your occupation?" They answered humbly, "Your servants are shepherds, and we have come to sojourn in the land, for the famine is severe in Canaan." Pharaoh, pleased with Joseph's service, turned to him and declared, "Settle your father and brothers in the best of the land. Let them dwell in Goshen." Then came the most poignant introduction of all, as Joseph brought in his father Jacob to meet the great king. The old patriarch, stooped with age, stood before the radiant and powerful king, revealing a profound spiritual order in that moment. Jacob, the bearer of God's holy covenant, raised his hands and bestowed a divine blessing upon the mighty Egyptian monarch. Pharaoh, intrigued by this ancient and reverent man, asked him a simple question: "How many are the days of the years of your life?" Jacob's reply was a summary of his long journey. "The days of my pilgrimage are 130, few and evil they have been." He had seen hardship and loss, but through it all, God's hand had guided him, and he blessed Pharaoh once more before departing. Joseph settled his father and brothers in the choicest part of Egypt, and there in Goshen he nourished them through the famine. In the safety of Goshen, the family of Israel flourished, acquiring property and multiplying exceedingly, just as God had promised at Bereshit. Live a mind to be for 17 more years, his turbulent journey finding a peaceful final chapter, secure in the unyielding covenant of his God.